Hello. All right, so we're gonna go through a little rollout series that is not dissimilar from things that we've done before that are on the YouTube. It's something we've been doing a lot in class, and so now we're gonna get it up here so you can practice at home. You're gonna grab your two balls in a bag, and you're gonna lie on your side. We'll choose our first side, and we're gonna move through a whole line here. So we're gonna put the two balls just below the knee, about there. And then you can use pillows or a yoga brick to support your skull, whatever feels best. And then I'm just gonna lift my feet a little bit and hug my knees in towards my chest and then back down. And this in and of itself should feel nice, maybe a little interesting. And then I'm gonna kind of stop around a spot that feels worthwhile to hang out on for a little bit. And I'm gonna let my knees drop and lift my feet a little bit more. And for me, this intensifies the sensation. And big breath in and big breath out. I know I say that all the time. It's just a reminder to breathe. It's so easy to forget. And then we're gonna keep the little knee dip here. I'm gonna move my top foot out of the way. And we're just gonna do some circles. Maybe just noticing as we move through this, where is it interesting to move through? Oh, Lola just let herself in. What a talented and gifted child. But as we move through the little ankle circles, we might just get a sense of kind of how that part of our leg connects into our foot. Big breath in, big breath out. And I'm gonna let that go. Maybe do another little pass here and just feel out how maybe that changed. And then we're going to shift the ball to the next spot. So I'm just going to cross the knee joint. And again, I'm going to just kind of rock a little forward and back and make some adjustments about where the ball is so that it feels kind of interesting, but not excruciating. I can still breathe. And then taking a big breath in, big breath out, kind of found a spot that I want to hang out in. And I'm just gonna let my feet lift a little and lower a little and a little lift and a little lower. And as I lift, that becomes quite a bit more interesting for me. I'm gonna stay somewhere in this angle where that pressure feels like I can breathe through it. I'm not resisting a lot. Again, I'm gonna move my top foot just a little bit out of the way and extend that bottom leg and bend and a little straighten. Woohoo! And a little bend and a little straighten and a little bend. And taking a big breath in and a big breath out. I'm going to let that go there and then just take another beat. And you know, if you're working on this stuff and you're like, Claire, you're going too fast, I want to spend more time, you just hit the pause button. You stay for as long as you want. All right, we're now going to travel up the chain into the hip. This is something that is on a now 5-year-old video, which is shocking to me how time flies. We're going to put this in the side butt here. So here's my hip point, and I'm going to just bring the balls back a little bit. They're not down on my leg bone. They're up in here. So that way we're in our glute med. We're in the well of the hip, as I like to call it. So it should and probably will feel fairly interesting, but you don't have it down on this part of your hip. So that's your greater trochanter. That's a bone. There's a bursa. We don't need to be on that. And then from here, again, I'm just going to rock a little forward, a little back, a little exploration of what pressure feels appropriate for me here. And also allowing my nervous system to just like chill down. And big inhale, big exhale. Whenever you feel ready, we're going to layer on that work. You're going to lift up this top leg. I'm just going to slide that foot underneath my bottom ankle. And then I'm going to let this top hip just get real freaking heavy. And we're going to go this way. And a little drop back. And you'll notice I'm not pushing forward out of my hip to rotate back. I'm letting this soften and I'm letting this top butt get real heavy. So I'm working with that sling, helps to root. So I'm not holding this tight tension, trying to make some release happen. And we're going to breathe and breathe and breathe. And then nice and slow. I got a little tucky there. So keeping that butt nice and heavy. I'm just going to lift up my bottom leg a little. And a little lower. And a little lift. And a little lower. And a little lift. A little lower. Little left. And lower. And take a big inhale, big exhale. We're going to re-rotate back around. Take a minute, breathe. And then grab those balls out from underneath your hip. You're going to roll onto your back. And we're going to take ankle to knee. Take this ball and slide it you can find your sitting bone and then slide the ball up from your sitting bone a little bit. So up that way. And everybody's going to be a little bit different. What you want to make sure is that you're not hitting something that causes nervy sensations down your leg. So it's not painful, it's not sparky, it's not numbing. And if it hits that, it's not a big deal. Just find a slightly different spot. We don't need to hang out there. And then from here, we're just going to weight over into the ball and back a little and a little over. And you might find that you want to hike up a hip. Maybe bring your hands onto your hip points so that you make sure that you're keeping them roughly even. It doesn't have to be perfect, just needs to be work. A little drop back and forth here, breathing, breathing. One more, big breath in, big breath out. And then you're going to stay in some amount of that rotation that feels interesting. And then take your thigh bone and just bring it in towards the midline. That's going to ask for a little bit more length out of where you've pinned that ball. And we're just going to move through a little bit of internal rotation and external rotation. Big breath in, big breath out. See if you can kind of get your breath to move into the floor, getting heavier. One more big inhale. And exhale. And then we're going to take the ball out, unwind your leg, take a minute here, and just feel whatever you feel. Might be that you feel a little bit more space, you feel a little bit more balanced. I don't know, options are endless. And then we're going to continue the work on this leg, but I'm going to flip over and I'm going to grab my roller. So from here, we're going to lie on our sides. Same, only we're going to put the leg up onto the foam roller. And we're going to start with just a roll up and back. And you might find that almost immediately it's super, super interesting. You also might find that it's not. And here's the thing, it does not need to be the most interesting thing to have value. And oftentimes it's better to back off of the most interesting thing. Kira likes to say, don't punch your pain in the face. I like that. So we're going to press into the roller just a little bit. Wherever on this little roll that you've done is interesting, or that feels worthwhile to hang out. And as we press into the roller, we're going to kind of drag it up, but just the tiniest bit. So if I'm pressing and I'm pulling the bones up, my tissue is going to get dragged down. And I'm going to try to maintain that kind of idea of internal rotation here in the inner thigh. And we're going to lift and lower. Big breath in, big breath out. So a little internal rotation. And then I'm going to internally rotate. I'm going to hold that internal rotation. I'm going to extend my leg. And back and down. Big inhale, big exhale. And breathing. And last one, unless you want to pause and keep going. And then we'll lower down. You take a big breath in, big breath out. And then I'm going to go a little further up. So I'm going to start a little bit more in the middle of my thigh, and I'm going to start to take it up towards my crotch. And I might even go so much that I come up onto my forearms. This might be too much for you, in which case stay on your side. Or maybe you're like, oh, it's the best thing that's ever happened to my adductors. I'm going to take a big breath in, big breath out. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to think about kind of pulling my thigh up a little bit, and I'm going to try to lift my heel. I don't have a lot of internal rotation over here, but I'm going to work with what I got. I'm going to breathe. And then I'm going to straighten my leg. Trying to maintain just a little bit of that rotation. Big breath in, big breath out. And seeing if I can really like relax into the roller. And if you're just holding a bunch of tension trying to stay up here, back off. It does not need to be cuckoo bananas. And big breath in, big breath out. Last one, big inhale, big exhale. And then we'll let that go. And we can back off of that. I'm going to just push my roller out of the way. And maybe do a little cat-cow. See how that feels. Maybe some press backs. See how those feel. You can't fuck it up. Just kind of do a little check-in and see where you've ended up here. And big inhale, big exhale. All right, so for time's sake, I'm not going to film the other side, but you can rewind if you don't remember all the spots. Or if you remember the spots, just take your time. We start below the knee, above, into the hip, into the butt, into the adductor. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, feelings, feel free to holler. Okay.